Okay. It's I have the valve cover still not on, and the engine's still not fired up yet. Soon, so I figured I'd give you just a walkthrough of a vintage Hemi head. You see all kinds of covers and stuff, but you really don't ever see maybe inside of it. I don't know if this video has been done. I haven't really seen it. I've seen there's that put together one, but they really don't. They go through it to a point, but figured I'd walk through it since I'm here. Like I said, this has got a lot of. This has a lot of accessories. This has these additional water pump adapters, so that this is a Chevy big block water pump. Picked up out of Summit. I picked up these pulleys out of Summit too. I'll have to put a little bit of a spacer on this one to get this one to line up here, but line up the front one here to here, so it'll pull. It needs to come out about a 1/4 inch, but or an 1/8 inch. So I'll have to do that. Like these, this is a Mopar. I think this fits a 440 or whatever, but anyways, it fits on the 392 Hemi, the old Hemis. And like I said, I think this is from Hotheads here, the timing cover. This was from somebody, this was from Summit. I adapted this guy. This is a breather and a, I don't know if it's going to be enough breathing, but this is a breather and an oil fill for me here. I believe it's foam. Yeah, there's foam in here. So this is I've adapted this. I drilled that out, put this on here. Typically, I know you want to have a breather on this side and then this side, or the PCV valve on the other. I have a PCV valve here, so I really don't know if that's going to be enough breathing. It's a pretty new engine, so water line hookups are typically in these areas. Now over here, there's normally on these intake manifolds, there's typically a heat riser here, which heats to the carburetor. This is blocked off on this one, obviously. I think some of the drag racers guys, they'll fill these things up with like some kind of cement or ceramic stuff to fill that hole in the head, but I didn't do that, so it's just blocked off anyways. But it's still going to cause a little turbulence. But shouldn't be an issue. Like I said, these are used typically for the water pump, water lines here. I think that one came blocked off. Here's where you're going to typically put them here, and then I actually have them on the. I can use these guys on the water pump. So we'll see if I have to if I use those or these ones. I'll probably use these ones. Obviously, they make more sense. Anyways, that's where I picked this up out of Hotheads too, with this dipstick, chrome dipstick little one. So now obviously these aren't tightened yet. The backs of the heads aren't tightened yet. I need to flatten that out a bit. Looks like that valve cover is sticking up a bit. But anyways, so this is what your typical Hemi head looks like. Now these are these Offenhauser wire covers, and typically your wire cover, now you're like, well, wait a minute, typically the wire cover you'll see hangs out the back for the wires to come out over here. I actually have holes drilled here. I bought this. I still haven't done. I think I'm probably going to powder coat this a nicer color. I really don't like it so much. It's high temp paint, but I'm not a huge fan. But and then I customized, actually welded these on here. So typically your wires will come, your valve, these are just some screws I bought, but typically your wires are going to hang out the back and come over here on a Hemi valve cover, the stockers. And these actually are, you'll see them offset one to the other, and these bolts were actually offset one to the other so that they could use the same size. So the valve covers were different. So anyways, these are pretty cool. I like them. Painted them that crinkle black. I just thought it was a little cooler looking than the stock plain. I actually bought the chrome ones, and I don't like the chrome covers at all anymore. Anyways, I'll show you kind of inside what it looks like. This is this heat-proof, moist electric proof. I can't remember what that stuff's called. glyco or something. Anyways, it's something to handle the moisture and the heat, and it hopefully won't. You don't want rust and moisture in here, but so I'll put that on there. So this is a Hemi head. Now there's some custom things on here also. You're going to notice these red collars, and those are anodized aluminum. Those are not original. These you can buy these on eBay, but typically what there is there's a spring on each rocker. So now obviously a Hemi, we all know it's on. You can watch some of the tons and tons of videos. I'm like, oh, I'm explaining the Hemi head here. I'm going to show you a drawing of, here's the Hemi, and here's the valve over here, and here's the valve over here. But this is the actual hardware. But like I said, these are typically these. Your rocker arms are going to go back and forth, and there's two different ones. Obviously, the exhaust rocker is much longer than the intake rocker. These, I believe, are single spring. Yeah, I believe these are single springs. This was off a 392 New Yorker, so I believe they ran single springs. The 300Cs, the 57 300Cs, they usually run a dual spring. So instead of having the spring here, and these were all spring, I think they were always like, well, higher RPM drag racing stuff, the springs, and these springs probably tend to wear out a little bit. They don't really push enough, and obviously if this thing comes back off, which didn't happen a lot, you would have a problem. You'd have failure, as this thing would come out of here and probably all hell would break loose if this thing came off of here. These are all locked down pretty tight. I was thinking about if I should never see these. But anyways, and then also custom these rocker shafts here. These are new hardened rocker shafts. I think it's kind of overkill, but mine were kind of galled up and not clean. I didn't want to fight cleaning inside of them, so I bought these rocker shafts. But anyways, I don't know which one is the actual oiler. I think it's this one actually. Anyway, one of these rocker stands. Now these are rocker stands. The shafts for the rockers to hold them up. You'll see there's pins usually here. I think I have to. You can't drill these out, and the pins aren't right. So I have new pins, and I actually put some serious pins in here. I think I can get it. I have to get these through here eventually. But anyways. So you got these rocker shafts. The oil comes up through these rocker shafts, and then out to the rockers. So and then obviously there's a hole in the bottom here, and there's a hole over here, and then that would be it. So an oil will line up along here and along here. When I actually pump the oil up, you see the oil come out here and here. These are all cleaned out, sprayed out. But here's your spark plug hole right here in the center, and you see your intake and your exhaust. Obviously, your push rods are offset because they're out of the way. And these are adjustable push rods also from hotheads. But that's a Hemi head. That's the basic principle. Like I said, oil comes up. I believe it's on the passenger side. I believe it's, I don't know, you can usually sometimes tell, you can't tell here. This is the one side. You can actually tell the one it's oiling is because of this. See, that's obviously different here. This rocker stand is different. So you'll see the oil pressure actually comes up through here, comes across, and then across here. So what it does is it fills these two rocker shafts full of oil and oil pressure. So this whole thing is pressurized, and that's how you get oil across to everything. But there is no holes in the push rods typically. I know some, the Chevys are going to push oil through the push rods sometimes. But anyways, you'll see. So it comes up and across, and I think in my other video where I talked about it, you can actually see the bulkiness on the bottom of this one versus this one. You can see the difference. So it comes across there. But that's a Hemi head. Exhaust valves, everything else is pretty much the same otherwise. And And there, one other thing is, annoying things with the Hemis is this oil, the oil drain backs. There's a piece of aluminum. There's the aluminum spark plug tube that goes through here, and actually just you lock the aluminum spark plug tube into the head with the spark plug. So what happens is oil runs down behind here and behind the spark plug tube and will fill this whole area. So you can imagine what happens when you take out the spark plug. So when you take out the spark plug, all the oil from here, from sitting around the spark plug tube, that's usually caked and kind of nasty, drains right back into it. Now that's a problem, and I know a lot of they'll actually sell a kit that puts a seal here sometimes, or they actually have these machined out and have spark plug tubes that's actually pressed into the block here. Something I guess is you got to be aware of maybe when you're taking the spark plug. Typically when you take the spark plug out, only a certain amount's going to drain in there. You just kind of got to be aware of it. I guess it probably didn't matter because it happens so many times. You know, some people, I think, when they take out the spark plug immediately out of a Hemi head, is they like to stick a rag in there and kind of pick up that oil that's flowing into the cylinder head. So oil going to cylinder head's not that bad of an idea. Obviously, it's not a lot. Maybe it's good sometimes to get this oil moving, but anyways, that's a precaution when you're taking out spark plugs on a Hemi, and that's the basic idea of a Hemi head. And these are the engine's firing is typically the same as a Chevy through small block or whatever. It's pretty much the same. So I think this is 1, 3, 5, and 7. I think maybe 8. No, this is actually 8. This is 2, 4, 6, and 8. Anyways, if you like this stuff, if you want to see more of kind of like building this Hemi and putting the Hemi together, and I guess I'm doing it slow as versus the Haggerty 20-minute one. Anyways, if you like it, comment, subscribe, like, all that crap. Take it easy.